Hey people, what's going on? It's Jameel, and I want to go a little bit further into explaining what gang stalking is. And gang stalking is simply a group of people stalking somebody. So, if three old women at a park begin to follow somebody around, that's gang stalking. It doesn't imply an actual street gang. It just implies a group of people are stalking somebody, following them, making unwanted contact with them. And a lot of people have given off the impression that have been involved with it that they're not. They'll say, "Well, I'm not involved with gang stalking. I'm watching this person because they're suspected of a crime, or they might be a child predator, or they may be a drug dealer, or they may have psychological issues. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not involved with the gang stalking." That's false. The people who are going around that are imposing as private investigators and hiring all these different people to go hire people, to go hire people to go out and do this, that's gang stalking. It doesn't matter. They don't have to wear red and black. That's just something that happens in gang stalking. They can wear any color. Okay? And the fact that they're making unwanted contact with individuals and following individuals, that's what gang stalking is. Just like in Hitler's Germany, the Nazis were gang stalking people. Hitler was the ultimate authority. And they said, well, I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm just doing what the government's telling me to do. Well, it was still illegal. Okay? It was still illegal. And so, but the people doing this are involved with the police and the federal government. A lot of the people doing the gang stalking are informants. And I don't do anything illegal, so I'm not concerned about it, but I don't want people harassing me. One of the big things people don't get is the intensity of organized stalking, gang stalking, contract stalking. A lot of people have come to the conclusion. I heard one woman told me, she said, "Why can't you ignore it?" Well, how can you ignore people who you don't know following you around? And it's not just following you around. These people mimic people. They dress up and try to pretend to be other people. They use unnecessary noise campaigns. This isn't created so somebody can ignore it. This is created to harass somebody. And there's child trafficking involved in this stuff. And everybody knows the FBI and the government's involved in child trafficking. And they allow it to go on. These people have disturbed my life and interrupted my life so much. You know, they cost me a lot of friendships over the years. They've cost me a lot of important friendships. Earlier in the last video, I was talking to a friend of mine. She's originally from New York, and I was explaining to her that I was doing interviews. I was doing different shows with people. I went to go meet a man many years ago. I was a follower of his work, Jordan Maxwell. We had done some interviews. I went to go meet him. We hung out for about a week. I came back to Michigan, and as soon as I came back to Michigan, people started sending me emails, calling me niggers and stuff, talking about they were going to kill me, making it look like it was Jordan Maxwell doing it. Then they hired, through this private, these private security agents or whoever they are, they purposely went out and found Italian-looking people and tried to make it seem like this was the mafia doing it. And in reality, it was a neighborhood watch group working with private investigators who were only bent on harassment. And this has been going on since the summer of 2015. Okay? And, following people around with lights, gaslighting people, that's something they do. And that's insane. That's insanity. The intensity of what these people do is absurd. Like, you can go to a store and somehow through store watch programs, they contact the management, and the management will participate in what you know as the gang stalking. So it's more intense than what people believe. You when it first happens to you and you don't know what's going on, everywhere you go, your whole environment is hostile to you. People who you don't know, you never seen before, start looking at you weird, start acting crazy, and the whole community is involved with it. Like you have one element of your community who's being told they have to watch you and go outside their house and wear all these colors and all that stuff. Then on another faction of it, you have people who are intentionally doing the most outlandish type stuff. You know, calling you up, saying crazy stuff to you, um, doing street theater, hiring. Like, okay, I live in an area called uh, Muskegon, Michigan. Muskegon, Michigan, and Muskegon is a real small area, and I've been out into the world and I've traveled a lot and I've met a lot of people. When I was a teenager, I used to get in trouble. I used to be involved in a gang when I was a teenager and stuff. You know, for many years, I've been an independent researcher. So my life isn't involved in the streets. My life's involved in the alternative research community. But in Muskegon, I've noticed one thing. They've tried to hire people to portray like they're they've tried to hire people to portray like they're gang members and stuff like that. And the funniest thing about that in the Muskegon area is there really isn't, to be honest with you, there really isn't any real Bloods gang members in Muskegon. There's people who claim to be Bloods, and some of them might actually be. Some of them might actually have connections, but in reality, there's no real Bloods in Muskegon, Michigan. Not like what people think. Not not like what's going on in California. They're imitating the California lifestyle. Like when you historically in Muskegon, you have small areas like the West Side, the projects, Wood Street, Jackson Hill, the other end of town, which is like the Mason end and stuff. But this is nothing like what you would see in Chicago. It's not like a lot of the people who claim to be Bloods in Muskegon, they get 5-pointed stars and stuff, and real Bloods don't wear 5-pointed stars. That's what people do in Chicago and the People's Nation of Ice Lord and stuff like that. Like if you took some people who are claiming to be, if you took some people who are claiming to be Bloods in Muskegon and took them over to South Central or took them to Inglewood or something, the Bloods in Los Angeles would probably end up killing them because they would say like, wait a minute, you're false. They would manipulate them if they didn't beat them up or kill them. They'd try to use them for money or something like that. Like people like the real street gangs out west are way different than what you see in Muskegon. And so, and I know that, I'm aware of that. I spent a lot of time in out west. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching whole neighborhoods and communities. Then I'm watching people try to hire people to be mob guys. And then I'm trying to hire people to try to pretend like they're gang members. And you have a system that's set up that nobody can actually get involved with in the community. You know, I got framed for a crime I didn't commit. The courts wouldn't get involved with it and dismiss my case. They allowed me to be framed. What do I gotta say about that? What do I gotta say about that? Okay, so the area, okay, this is the thing, this thing in the Muskegon area. Whoever these private investigators are, and there's different ones. They've never come and spoken to me and explained to me what they were involved with, what they were doing. This is an act they put on where they were telling one girl that some disinformation about me and telling her things about me so she would think, you know, I was a lowlife and I was a scumbag and she would follow me. And she would start explaining to me what was going on. But these people were hiring these people to disrespect me, to follow me around with other guys in the car. There was one woman, you know, and the woman that I sent the flowers to, from my perspective, and this has happened, like, this ain't nothing important no more. This was a long time ago. This was just something that, just happened. You know what I mean? And when I was on YouTube talking about this girl and stuff, that's just something that happened. And, you know, everywhere I went, if they didn't have that individual following me, they had other individuals that looked like that individual. And, you know, it's a long story. I don't want to keep talking about that. I already explained that so many times on the internet. But anyhow, so anyway, when you're dealing with the contract stalking and the gang stalking, they hire people who should in no way be following anybody. And then they're telling these people to keep an eye on people and to watch people. And it's the same thing that happened with that Kanisha Jenkins case. It's the same thing that happened with the Paul Lita Cooper case. It's the same thing happening all over the country. You know, all over the world is going on. And so, you know, the crazy part about it is I'll meet somebody that I know that I like. And as soon as I meet the person, then somebody will come along and try to contract that person to participate. And then it fucks up my communication with the person I'm talking to. I'm talking to somebody and getting to know the person. And then just some stupid motherfucker comes out of nowhere and goes, "We need you to help us do something important." And they're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Every new group of people I meet. And then after the people, and then the people act like, then sometimes the people that they hire, they act like they got a problem with me. And I'll be sitting there telling them, like, man, what I'm telling you is the truth. What you're doing is the same thing I'm telling you about. I'm telling you about gang stalking, and it's all over the internet on YouTube. And what you're doing is what's happening on YouTube. And these people are so stupid. They act like they got a problem with me. And then they get caught up in the situation. And they don't realize they're nothing but low-level informants following people around. So, you know, so these people are involved with like this is like these people that do this gang stalking stuff. This stuff is like a form of mind control, where every day somebody leaves their home and they get followed around by their own community. People can't even live in their own community and pay taxes and pay rent in their own community. People can't buy a house. People can't own a business without other people following them around wearing colors and doing street theater and mimicking and stuff. And it's insanity, man. It doesn't even make sense, you know? And then I talked to a woman last night on the phone, and she says she has agreed to come meet me, and she's claiming to be a target. And she told me the same thing. She said she said when it first started happening to her, she didn't know who these people were. This woman went to the police, she went to the federal government, and they wouldn't even listen to her story. They wouldn't even help her. And then so she contacted me, and I've been explaining to her my perception of it. And, you know, it just boggles my mind how people like are being followed around and harassed by the government, and nobody will help these people. You know, nobody will help these people. And so, you know, it's the most absurd thing I've ever seen. And then they even hire people. This is going to sound really, like, this might sound really outlandish, but there's been scenarios where they hire people even on the internet to do stuff. Like, I have people I don't even know who come on the internet and make YouTube videos about me and put symbolism about me in their videos and stuff. I don't even know. There's people out there who will sit there and put my name all over their YouTube channels and stuff, and I don't even know. And so, the system's so messed up, man. The system's real messed up. So, one of the big things I want to do was to be able to just sit down and speak to people privately and figure out what the hell is going on. Who are all these people that are running around paying people to follow people? What does this mean? Why aren't, I think the people who are doing this, they should be put on blast for it. They should be getting followed around, and their names should be getting put out there, and everybody should know who they are.